you so much. My name is Jennifer Poland, and on behalf of High Desert Water District, it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to this event, which is definitely one for the history books in Yucca Valley. As you all know, we are here to break ground and kick off construction for phase 1 of our 3-phase wastewater treatment and reclamation project. As many as you know, the sewer project. The project consists of a wastewater treatment facility, and once constructed, it's a state-of-the-art facility that will use membrane technology. It will actually be built to the east of this property. What makes this facility so special is that after we treat the wastewater, instead of using it as recycled water, it will actually be reclaimed to recharge our groundwater. Also, as part of the project, over 75 miles of pipe will be installed throughout town. As part of the installation, we will also be replacing 75 miles of existing roads with newly paved roads. Once the project is completed, there will be over 5,000 properties that will be connected to the system. It will take approximately 3 years to complete, and that is just for phase 1. We still have 2 and 3 to go. So I just want to kind of go over the event today. Everyone should have got a program. On the front of the program, there's some highlights about the project. On the back is the order of event for the speakers. And there are a few people I'd like to thank that made this event possible. Atkins Engineering, who provided the food and the drinks in the back. We are greatly appreciative for that. It looks beautiful. Carollo Engineering, as well as Montgomery Watson Harza Constructors, who actually sponsored the beautiful setting we have here today. And I also really want to thank High Desert Water District staff, Mary Phelps, as well as our capital replacement crew, because I couldn't have done this on my own. So to help us commemorate this event, we are honored to have our guest speakers who have all had a part in this project. So first, I would like to introduce to you a longtime resident of Yucca Valley, who is also serving as High Desert Water District's board president, Bob Statham.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hello. There are some additional chairs over here for anyone that might like to sit and get out of the sun. Just saying. As the president of the board of directors of the High Desert Water District, it is both my honor and privilege to welcome you all here today to this very special occasion for our community. It's been a few years coming, but well worth the wait. Public sanitation is often credited with saving more lives and preventing more illness than all the modern medicines combined. What we are doing here today in our groundbreaking is setting the stage for the wellness and prosperity of our community, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. Staff has asked me to say a few words about the history, how we got here today. As the longest sitting board member, I joined this board in the last century. Sometimes it feels that long. How many of you have heard of the Harridans? Show of hands. I hadn't either. They are credited with putting in the first public sanitation system in the Indus River Valley around 3000 BC. 3,000 years later, the Romans had fine-tuned that early system with a few tweaks, but it was essentially quite similar. Then along came the Middle Ages. There wasn't much progress, but we did get the Magna Carta and Robin Hood. The Industrial Revolution and the scientific revolution of the 18th and the 19th century led to the development of oxidative ditch wastewater treatment technology that has been the gold standard of public sanitation for over 100 years. Now, we are able to take advantage of 21st century membrane filtration technology at 20th century prices. Pretty much the same price we would have had to pay for oxidative ditch technology, but will allow us to filter the water at a level that will let us reclaim and reuse it. It takes a village to do a project of this magnitude, or in our case, a small town, plus quite a few more people. I'd like to just briefly mention that this could not have been possible without my fellow board members, Dan Muncy, Sheldon Huff, Saran Graham, and Roger Mays, whose vision, community-mindedness, and teamwork allowed us to give a clear, single message to staff, who then were tasked with implementation. Special recognition to Ed Music, our general manager, Mark Ban, our assistant general manager, and Jennifer Poland, our communications officer, and all of the hardworking staff at High Desert Water District. Congressman Paul Cook, Senator Gene Fuller, and Assemblyman Chad Mays were most helpful, maybe even essential, in helping us get this project through the halls of big government. We live in a little community out here. We need all the help we can get. I'd like to acknowledge Jose Angel and the Regional Water Quality Control Board and staff, their state board, Felicia Marcus, for their help in getting us a 1% low-interest loan to help finance this project. Jim Ventura, Kirby Brill, and the rest of the board and staff at Mojave Water Agency, their help also has been very instrumental. There were a number of expert engineers and consultants whose expertise provided were absolutely essential. We couldn't have done it without their expertise. It's amazing 21st century technology that we're working with here, and it was up to us when it worked quite so well. We would have been back to the Harridans. The town of Yucca Valley, Curtis Yakima, Mayor Leone, the rest of their council and staff were also instrumental in working with us on this project. There was a number of private citizens who stepped up to the plate for years on the PAC, the Public Advisory Commission, who helped interface between all of our experts and the community to get the community to understand what we were proposing to do and help us do it. And finally, the property owners and residents of Yucca Valley who stepped up to the plate and voted to form an assessment district to pay for the lion's share of this project over the next 30 years deserve a huge amount of the credit. And also I'd like to just have an honorable mention to my wife Wanda for her patience and understanding when I would come home late or come home frustrated with what was just went on there. Anyway, thank you all for coming and joining with us on this very special occasion.
Thank you, President Statham. Next, I would like to introduce to you someone who has been instrumental in securing $4 million appropriation grant from the United States Bureau of Reclamation to help lower the total cost burden to all the property owners and stakeholders of this project. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Congressman Paul Cook.
Thank you very much. I thought it was $4.5 million. Isn't it? You know, $500,000 here, $500,000 there, who cares, right? Well, basically, that's what it's all about. Now, Letitia White, by the way, who is your consultant, she's worked with our office. She's very, very knowledgeable. She did a great job, and of course, I'm trying to follow in the footsteps of Jerry Lewis, who for many years, you know, you'd call Jerry up. It was a different appropriation process in those days. It's much harder, but it's like anything. If you don't ask for the money, you're never going to get it. And you got to write a letter, and you got to make phone calls. And once I finish my sensitivity class, I'm sure I'll be much better in dealing. I failed a couple of times, but that's no. This is something that obviously very, very important. I saw Jim Ventura earlier, and I was remembering when the battles were going on years ago for the pipeline coming across the desert. Some of you were here, how that was going to be funded, and you know, before you know it, it's over, and that was huge. And some of these things where the community steps up, the people right here, these things are tough. And I think this is a tribute to everybody that's involved in that. I do want to mention something, and it is a little bit political because it is about Assemblyman Mays. Assemblyman Mays had his mother here. Where's your mom? And I love her. She's great. And she's nothing like you, Chad. She's really a saint. And she came up and she had a bottle of water and she sprinkled water all over me. And I said, I know I work in, you know, in Washington where all the devils are, but, and I appreciate being baptized again, but, so Chad, you might take note, and she's got free water if you need it again. You do that over and over again. This is very, very special. I'm not going to go on and on and on. Frank, I won't give you a hard time, but I wear a suit and you don't. Just because you're a quarterback or the quarterback is loafing or something, taking a vacation. He's a big Steeler fan. So, and they're playing a team called the Patriots this week. So we have this rivalry that goes on and on. This is very, very special. And to do something like this is very, very important. And Bob, Mr. President, would you come up here? I've got a plaque here. It's a heavy one, so be careful of hernias. This shows that this is going in the Congressional record. And the words and the music, the verbs, basically are what we did today to honor this is such an important step. And it's my honor to present that to you. We have some baptismal water if you need. But once again, thank you very much. Great luck. Take care.
Thank you, Congressman Cook. Our next speaker, I've had the pleasure to meet and hear her speak about one of her many passions, and that is water. She also was instrumental in this project. She showed up to the state in front of the State Water Resources Control Board when we were asking for a low interest loan to fund the project. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Senator Jean Fuller.
Well, I served with Congressman Cook, so, in the Assembly, so I'm always worried about following him.
I got Chad, I didn't get you.
Yeah, so I felt very, very lucky that Chad was the junior member on the team today, and that maybe it would pass me by, but we have been a great team, Paul and I, and I'm very lucky to have Chad in the legislature with me. As you know, something that's unusual for this area is that Chad is the Assembly Republican leader, and I am the Senate Republican leader, and that is very, very unusual for our rural areas to have the leadership for the whole state. So I just want you to be sure to know. And that gives you reason to ask us for more stuff, huh, Jen? So we hope you will do that. But I'm here today to say that I'm really proud of this community and the High Desert Water Agency District. Today's groundbreaking is a victory. It's a victory for the future growth and the suitable living conditions of our local area, as well as a water victory for California. We certainly need more of these water victories. As you know, California is suffering through a drought right now. It won't be the last drought. There will be another. It won't last forever, but it will continue to happen, and our population will continue to grow. So regardless of whether the weather conditions in the drought are more severe or not than this one, because our population will continue to grow, the drought's effect on consistent water delivery will be much, much greater as the future goes. So one of the things that you have done that makes you a leader and makes California better for this effort, a hard effort, is that you have replaced aging infrastructure for disposal of wastewater. Disposal of wastewater was the way we did things in the past. We had lots and lots of assets that we didn't have the technology to use the water again and again. And then when we did have the technology, we didn't have the money or we didn't have the will of a community, because it's a very hard lift to make this transition from the past to the future. And your board and your community, by making all of the sacrifices necessary, by working really, really hard, is one of the first in California for a rural community to have centralized water system like this, or treatment system like this, especially dealing with chromium-6 and some of the other really hard to deal with pollutants. So I just want to leave, I'm an old teacher. I started my career as a teacher. I just want to leave it in your mind that what you have left for others, your legacy for the future, is that you provided the bridge for small communities, more rural communities, to be able to comply with the state's new water disposal regulations and become sustainable and reuse water. You are 1/3 or 30% less dependent on water deliveries across the state now that you have this sustainable water source. And I will predict, and it's easy to do this, that water will become more and more valuable every year and a greater resource to this community as the other communities across the state have to try to figure out how to get by with a less than consistent water delivery system, and how they can copy what you've done and how you can be a model for them. So I'd also like to say that it illustrates the need for more funding, and Congressman Cook I used to sit almost next to him, so it's hard to transition. Yes, it was hard. But he was always earlier than everybody else, I have to tell you. Absolutely. So as he has talked about asking for funding, that is very true and very critical. we have to continue to illustrate the need for funding and low interest loans for this kind of development. And there are other communities around you that are growing, and they need the help as well, and they need to see what you've done, and it brings the whole area up. So I want to emphasize that now that the tools and techniques are available to reclaim this water and make it more sustainable in communities that are south rather than north, while I'll fight every day and continue to fight for more water storage so that we can have greater water delivery to this area and better utilization of water across the whole state to become a more vibrant economic powerhouse in the world. What you are doing is just as important. And last but not least, I want to say that sometimes, we all need to be missionaries for a cause. And this may not seem like a cause that comes to your mind first as what you need to be a missionary for. But my husband and I have been involved in this for many years. My husband actually worked in water treatment and water purification and has all of the certifications. And so we have seen how the water situation has developed and changed over the years since we got married in '71. And during that time, we've become more and more impressed with those of you who understand how tough this battle is going to be, and how water is not just a resource that can be taken for granted or expected. It is a resource that is going to become even more precious as the most expensive commodity that you can buy for future generations. And all of you who place yourself in a situation to be able to reclaim water and use your water in a most efficient way, you are leading the path for the future, and you are truly saving your children. Thank you for doing this.
I'm hoping the mic doesn't go out. We're running on a generator out here, so please bear with us. Please join me in welcoming someone who's very familiar with our area as well as our project. He's been witness to when this project actually first started. He was part of the room where the town and the water district all came together and discussed how we were going to meet a solution to the issue. He also was instrumental in supporting us in receiving the low interest loan that we are able to finance the project cost. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Assembly Member Chad Mace.
Well, wow, we did it, right? We did it. It's a long time coming, but we did it. And just listening to the history, Bob, that was quite the lesson. I was wondering with that lesson if you had gotten the lesson from our historian, Congressman Paul Cook. It's fascinating. I've learned a lot from Paul over the years. He's an expert going back to talk about history. In fact, with the Civil War, if you could talk about the Civil War, he can tell you about every battle that happened. And of course, I remind myself it's because, of course, he was there. So he had first. He had first. I couldn't think of anything better. Well, it is true. You think of the history of Yucca Valley. Today is a historical day. For someone like me who's grown up in this community, I went to school just literally across the street here and played sports here, and never knew that I grew up in what we call a disadvantaged community. But in Sacramento, this is considered a disadvantaged community. When you look at our household income, it's not great compared to other parts of the state. And then you think of a project this size with over $100 million to get this project done. It is nothing short of a miracle that we are here today ready to break ground. If you look at the town of Yucca Valley's budget, you look at the High Desert Water District's budget, there's no way that this could have gotten done. And the fact that once again, just like Congressman Cook said, with the pipeline that came in, in the early 90s. And then this project here today, once again, this community has stepped up. And so today is a day of celebration that this community, once again, bound together to be able to make this happen. I know I've learned a lot here in this community. One of the things George Huntington would tell me is we talked about economic development. And I remember he said this. He said, you know, Chad, what I've learned over the years is when you talk about economic development, what government can do, you can't really do economic development, but you can provide the environment for economic development to occur. The truth is, in this community, the one thing, the missing piece of infrastructure that we've had for economic development to happen is this project. So today is a new beginning, I think, for this community. I'm proud to be a part of it. And again, wow, we did it. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Mays. Our next speaker currently serves as the chair on the Colorado Basin Regional Water Quality Control Board, which has been, as President Stato mentioned, they have supported our project and assist us when we've been working with the board, State Water Resources Control Board, and the staff. So please welcome Chair of the Regional Water Quality Control Board, Nancy Wright.
Hey, which were they both working? Good morning, and thank you for the invite today. I'd like to say hi to all you distinguished guests, and especially all of you in the audience for coming out today. This is really a good turnout. Thanks. So as the chair of the Colorado River Basin Regional Water Quality Control Board, I want to thank the Water District especially for their leadership, and also the people in the town here for the unprecedented progress you have made in solving this very serious water quality problem caused by septic tanks in the town. Nearly 10 years ago, we had directed our staff to develop the septic tank discharge prohibition to address the problems that the septic tanks were causing. And our board recognized that if the prohibition was going to work, and to be successful, we needed to work cooperatively and collaboratively with all our local government and with key members of this community. This was necessary to gain the public trust, get our message across, assist the district in securing the needed funding to build the sewer, and work with the end in mind, a town with a healthy and reliable aquifer. Accordingly, we directed our staff to work particularly closely with the town and with the water district, but not as typical regulators, but rather as partners, and provide whatever regulatory, technical, community assistance, engagement that we could offer to make the project become a reality. We have not shied away from our legal and regulatory obligations to protect water quality here in the region. I strongly believe that this collaborative approach and close working relationship we have forged on all levels of government, particularly with the town and the water district, has made this day possible. I want to take advantage of this opportunity to recognize, and have been recognized by you also, recognize the various advisory committees that has served the water district and the water board. The technical advisory, the district's public advisory committee, and the board's technical advisory committee. They were very instrumental in getting this project to become a reality also. Mayor, see if I get Leone, excuse me, Mayor Leone and President Statham. I want to thank you, respected staffs, who continue to work closely with our staff to make this project a success. And also special thanks to Gary at Z107.7 and Cindy and Stacy at the High Desert Star for educating the community about this project and about the water quality problems. I also want to thank and acknowledge the work that our staff, who worked and addressed the original and the revised prohibition and for the permit for this wastewater treatment plant. It was Joan Stormo, Teresa Kimsey, Maria Davidova, and they are from our basin planning unit. And then from our land discharge unit, there was Mary Sierra and Jose Cortez. Also, there was Hilda Vasquez and Mary Castadina for their administrative support. Thank you for your excellent hard work as well. And I'd also I'd be remiss if I did not mention Jose Angel, our executive officer. Thank you, Jose. I know you worked very, very hard on this project with the town and with the water district, and I and the water board personally thank you. I also want to thank, in closing, as we begin to shovel dirt to kick off this project, the real hard work begins when the sewer system is up and running. We came a long way as a team. On behalf of my board colleagues, I want the people of the town and the water district to know that they continue to have a partner who is committed to this project and also committed to protecting the public trust. So I thank you this morning.
Our next guest is a resident of Yucca Valley. He previously served on the town council, and he is serving again for our community. I'm pleased to announce our next speaker, and that is Mayor Bob Leone.
Good morning, folks. We again have a beautiful day here in Yucca Valley. Having been a member of the Air Quality Board, Mojave Desert Air Quality Management for 14 years, we in Yucca Valley and the Morongo Basin have the cleanest air, and we are the highest of the high desert. So we're very unique in that respect. There's very few communities that you can go to and see 65, 70 miles away, with our low humidity and our clean air. Anyway, what I would like to do is mention that my wife about 6 years ago said, do you realize you're an antique when you pass 75? And I know she collects antiques, but as far as this goes, that was something that I'm also from the previous century, having been elected in 1996. And anyway, I served with both Paul Cook and Chad Mays, and I was mayor for each of those times I was on the council with them. Paul Cook for 8 years.
Still in therapy, aren't you?
I'm still in therapy, right, exactly. Well, I used to sit next to Paul, he was sitting next to me, and Paul, as you notice, keeps moving his legs. And I would walk over to him or talk to him and say, Paul, do you have to use the restroom?
Moving target.
A moving target.
They don't get you.
Right, exactly. And Chad Mays, I also was on the council with Chad for over 8 years. And I remember telling Chad when he first came up, I says, Chad, remember one thing, that I'm 43 years older than you. Respect your elders. And buy a house. Anyway, that was some of the things that, now being the last speaker, a lot of things have been said to addressing this momentous occasion here in our wastewater project. Here in Yucca Valley, we call it the sewer project. Anyway, I also want to take a moment to recognize and commend the High Desert Water District and the staff for their leadership and dedication to making this day possible. It is also appropriate to recognize the community for their understanding of the need for a project of this type by providing the funding necessary to make the project a reality. They have formed and passed the assessment district. It is that kind of community involvement that brings folks together to make the best decisions of our town, not only for today, but for the generations to come. As the economic hub of the Morongo Basin, the town of Yucca Valley will be well served through the completion of the wastewater project. Not only will the project help ensure clean and reliable water, the project will also provide certainty to potential homeowners and business owners that desire to call Yucca Valley their home. It is a bright future for Yucca Valley as years of community discussion, analysis, design, and planning culminate with the sewer project groundbreaking. While the project delivery will undoubtedly have its unique challenges, we are confident that the rewards of such a project will pay dividends for the community for many years to come. Congratulations again to the High Desert Water District and the community for the vast achievement reflected in today's sewer project groundbreaking. Thank you.
And in closing, before we break ground, our last speaker has led the district in meeting its mission for over 10 years. He also has been instrumental in giving this project momentum needed to get where we are today. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the General Manager of High Desert Water District, Ed Music.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks for coming out today, and especially our distinguished elected officials, Congressman Cook, Senator Fuller, and Assemblyman Mays. You know, it all started a little over 9 years ago. The talk was, who's going to run the sewer project? Was it the town or was it the water district? And we held a joint meeting in June of 2007, and then Town Council member Chad Mays made a motion to let the High Desert Water District take the lead, and from there we moved forward. The district went out then and we hired a project manager, Joe Glowitz. He's currently the general manager of Valley Sanitation down in Indio. We completed our sewer master plan with Montgomery Watson Harza. We brought on Carollo Engineering as our owner's rep to assist the district with all the engineering needs we needed within for the sewer project. And then we took 2 years to analyze. We were told that we could do something a lot less expensive. So we took 2 years to analyze alternative systems, the step stack system where you keep your septic tank and just discharge the effluent. After a 2-year study, we realized the best system was what was originally in our sewer master plan, and that was a gravity system. So the next thing is, how are we going to pay for it? You know, it's easy to build something when you have the funds, but we didn't have the funds. And fortunately, with assistance from our state and federal advocates and our elected officials, we secured enough funding to hire Atkins to design the collection system. Because the biggest unknown for cost was, what's it going to cost to put in the collection system? We didn't know how deep all the pipes were going to be. Once we got that, we hired Webb Engineering and we formed our assessment district. And with Jennifer Poland leading the outreach and Mark Band being our project manager, we achieved over a 70% approval, which was unheard of for a project of our magnitude. So our critical milestone is really passed in May of 2015 when we got the funding. Building it is much easier once you have the funds. So hopefully, we're waiting to hear from the state. We will start construction of the collection system next month. I would like to conclude with an honorable mention of those who have helped the community reach this milestone. Again, I'd like to thank our federal and state advocates. We appreciate our work with Mojave Water Agency, especially Jim Ventura and the entire board there, Kirby Brill, the general manager, and all of their staff, and the Technical Advisory Committee. They were very instrumental in us securing Prop 84 funds to make this happen. The State Control Board and their staff in processing our loan application. Jose Angel and his staff at the regional board. Jose has been here from day one. Anytime we needed him, he made the effort to come out here and assist us. Dennis Wolf and the Bureau of Reclamation. Dennis has been a pleasure to work with and is helping us anytime we need it. The California Special Districts Association, and all of our local water agencies, Bighorn Desert View, Joshua Basin Water District, 29 Palms, and Victor Valley Wastewater Authority. The local schools, Morongo Unified and Copper Mountain College, the Yucca Valley Chamber, and the Rotary Clubs. And we'd also like to thank the media outlets, the Morongo Basin Broadcasting, Gary Dagnot and Cindy Milan with the High Desert Star, and then members of our Public Advisory Committee. We're also very fortunate that we have first-class engineers, Carollo Engineering, Atkins, Montgomery Watson Harza, Webb and Associates. Sukit now is our new contractor. We have Kennedy Jenks and W.H. Lyles, who are going to design and build our wastewater sewer plant. And last but not least, the board members of High Desert Water District, President Bob Statham, Vice President Dan Muncy, Sheldon Huff, Saran Graham, and Roger Mays. And last but most, our employees. They're sitting there to your right, and this organization has, I would say, the best employees that we could have. I've been in the workforce for over 50 years, and it's without a doubt the best organization I've seen. And so with that, we will start the groundbreaking. Thank you again for coming.
Hello, my love. How are you? Okay, my dear. How are you?
Yeah.